Cards and buy now, pay later services continue to be under the microscope. It's not good news for us.
As we move into a new financial year, what are the lies we tell ourselves to avoid cutting up those credit cards?
Max Phelps from Golden Eggs joins us to tell us more now. Hi, Max.
Hello, how are you doing? Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Very faintly, I think, can we turn you up a little bit?
I'm not sure if I can do that.
No, that's okay.
We're going to do it at
We're
our
good.
end.
We're
We'll turn
good.
you up.
Now, Max,
Thank you very much.
we've got to get blunt here. What have you got against credit cards?
Well, the problem here is that I made the mistake of using them for the first 11 years of my working life and consistently missed my savings targets. And thanks for having me back on the show, by the way, guys. Lovely to see you again.
We love having you.
I mentioned before, my wife loves a credit card. She loves to shop. She loves to buy nice things. And unfortunately, credit cards give us access to money that we haven't even earned yet. And one of the things that we saw as a result of COVID is that a lot of people assumed they could pay their next credit card bill and then found that actually that's just an assumption that you've got work next month and that you're going to get paid next month. And that's not always the case. So what we realized over time was it's better to use your own money than use the credit card money. But I know the lies that we tell ourselves because we used to tell ourselves these. But I'm going to ask, I know, Ben, you've stopped using the credit card now.
No, he didn't stop. He's not allowed, Max. There's a difference. His partner has cut him off from having access to it.
Not once.
It wasn't him being all mature or anything like that.
I hope it's balanced with a proper allowance so that you can actually have access to money.
Well, no, my partner literally gives me $5 to $10 a day when I leave the house, and that is it. And you know what? It has saved us so much money. However, one of the questions that I have for you, and this is something that my partner does do, is it still okay for him to be using credit cards to pay off bills?
Look, bills is the only area where I think credit cards are kind of okay because you do get some of the benefits of the credit cards, but the bills at least, you're not discretionary spending. You're not choosing to spend more. The danger is when we carry the credit card on us, and especially when people like my wife and the two of you have got credit cards on you, there's a higher chance that you're just going to tap and the credit card always says yes. If you've got access to a debit card which is what Kelly has now, is that there's an amount of money in that card. She keeps tapping and tapping. When it's finished, it says no. And that's okay because there's more money coming next week. But the credit card will always say yes. I want to just cover off. Go on.
What do we do, Max? What do we already do if we're over our limit? We're asking for a friend.
Yeah, really. Yeah, that's a separate thing. I'm going to come back to that another time because going over the limit just means take the credit card out of your wallet. Take it out, Alana. Just take it out. Get the credit card.
Max, I feel like you've told me this last time.
Cut it up. Cut it up. You don't need it. Honestly. Now I know that we tell ourselves lies. So the lies we tell ourselves with credit cards are firstly that I'm a responsible credit card user and I'll stick to my limit and pay my bill. Well, Alana, you already know that's not true for you, but for some people they say that it is. In fact, 30% of people run up a credit card bill and don't pay it off at the end of the month, and 70% do pay it off. But even then, we know that they spend more on average than they would if they used a debit card. In fact, psychologists, it's interesting, you had a psychologist on earlier, but a study has been done that shows that on average, we spend 30% more with a credit card than we do when we use our own money.
Wow.
So
I think our brains just fly out the window when it comes to
30%.
Yeah, I just think our brains fly out the window a little bit. When you're spending other people's money and when you're spending money that's not really yours, I think that the consideration seems to be a little bit different. But what about for Alana? Is Afterpay any better than credit cards?
Not just me.
It's Alana.
Lots of people and you.
If you stop using
Afterpay is no better at all. The Afterpay is in a lot of ways worse. Again, it lets you spend money you have not yet earned. The reverse of that used to be in place is the lay-by. So if you remember years ago, that you used to go into shop and you saw something you wanted, you didn't have the money to get it, and so they would let you lay-by it. They'd put it at the back of the store and keep it for you, and you would pay it off.
That was the good old-fashioned days.
The thing about saving up for things or using lay-by is that you get more pleasure out of buying that item than if you just use Afterpay or a credit card. So when you use Afterpay or a credit card, you think you're getting it straight away, but then you miss out on kind of the excitement of looking forward to it, or you know.
What about if I have the excitement of wearing the jacket that night?
Yeah, but that's only one night, unfortunately.
Oh no, it's not. Oh no, it's not, Max.
Max, ask her how much this jacket was.
There's
though.
always
This
there's
jacket
always the
is-
one item that you've got that you keep, but the vast majority of what we
It's an
spend is not the big items like the jacket. It's the $20 here, the $10 there. And when we look at our bills, we tend to ignore all the little things and just look for the big things like the jacket or like the bill.
I have got a lot better, I will just step in and say, because I especially feel like doing this show, that most people are genuinely coming on here, investment people like yourself that are like, oh my God, we're watching you every day, you need help. But I actually represent a huge portion of the popularity. Afterpay is the darling of the stock market. It's surged up over $50 per share. I think it went even higher. People are using these platforms. So, you know, I think it's something that we just need to have an open and honest discussion about.
And that's exactly right. And I guess where we go with this is that we try and help people exactly like yourself, Alana, with our 5-2 money diet that we've mentioned before, where we say, if you've got a minimum of 5 bank accounts spread across 2 banks, managing money actually becomes so much easier. And in your case, Ben, it would probably be your partner that would manage 3 of those accounts.
Yeah.
And you would be given access to only 2 of them.
Exactly.
And
right.
giving you access to spend money is actually an important thing for your own psychology. So I'd be quite happy to talk to your partner, Ben, about letting go of the reins a little bit, just so that you've got access to just blow some money every now and again, but you choose when and on what. But then when it's gone, it's gone. And credit cards, unfortunately, give us access to money that is outside of that, and so does Afterpay. And so if you are going to use Afterpay, then it's important that you clear it first. But I'd really encourage you not to use credit cards, not to use Afterpay. And I can't say this on commercial television because they won't let me.
Really? Well, you can say whatever you like to us. You're on digital television.
Ben says way worse things than that. I'll give you the tip.
Well, think about how much money there is in credit cards. They make a fortune off us in credit cards. And so they can afford to spend a lot of money on advertising and tricking us into thinking that credit cards gets us more travel, which is another lie. Credit cards give us less travel than actually saving
Max,
up.
I'm happy to not use a credit card again, but can I borrow some money?
Well, that's part of what we do as well.
I think everyone's under a different perception that we're like millionaires or something, and there's a reason that we're using things like Afterpay to split that cost up. But anyway.
But yeah, I know. But the fact is, if you always overspend by 30%, you can only do that for so long before you run out of money or you've exhausted your credit limits, and that's the position people find themselves in. So I want people to buy property, and that's kind of what my other passion is that hopefully I'll talk about another time. But to do that, we've got to get the basics right of not overspending to begin with, and getting onto a budget, getting good at saving so that you've got the deposit, so that you can buy a home, so that you can stop paying rent and all those things.
Max, where can people find out more if they want to talk to you more about this? Because you are really a wealth of knowledge. See what I did there?
That's very good. I love a good pun in the morning. It's goldeneggs.info is the main website, and then from there we link to the other parts of the business.
Max, it's a pleasure to have you on. I know we really put you through your paces, but you do give us a lot of great insight. We really appreciate your time this morning.
Well, thanks so much again for having me on. I do enjoy it, and it's good to have a bit of banter in the morning.